Finding a comfortable seat. Let's start our practice with a bow. Let's just begin with a really brief meditation. Sitting up tall, but just noticing right now, where is your shoulder girdle? Where is your chest, the sternum area? Do you feel like it's protruding too far outward, or are you hunching over? Your shoulders are starting to round. Can you find the middle place here where your spine is erect, your shoulders are down the spine, the chest isn't too lifted, but it's not concave? You can practice going back and forth with the rounding and the protruding outward just to see where the middle spot is. Maybe just rounding the shoulders back and forth a couple times till you find the center, a balance. And start to arrive in the space between the eyes, maybe even behind the eyes. And then let that presence inside the head just go down into the throat, lowering down into the chest. Just finding that embodiment inside, the inner world, like you're traveling through, like there's a mini version of you that's being swallowed up by the big version of you, and you're taking a little trip in the inner world of your guts. And you're living and existing inside, beneath the surface, beneath the skin, beneath tissue. Feeling the surface of your body against the floor, where it is that your feet edges may be touching the ground, or the bottoms of your thighs, sits bones. Feeling this base of support. And then opening your eyes, if they were closed, start to just blink a bunch, just blink a lot. Or like using our eyelid muscles now, which is kind of funny to think about. There's a lot of blinking. And then open your eyes really wide. And then squeeze them really tight. Open them up, see all those flashy little lights, like, whoa, getting kind of cross-eyed. And then let the gaze return back to like a natural, lower, a few feet in front of you gaze. And then look to the left without moving your head, just moving your eyeballs. Look to the left, right in the corners. And then look to the right. It's like weirdly exhausting to exercise your eyeballs. And then look up, all the way up. Look down. Let your eyeballs just kind of move towards the place where you can see your nose on your face. And then look kind of up and to the left, up and to the right, down left corner, look down, right corner, look down, and then like roll your eyes around for a second. Ooh, just like one little turn one way and then turn them around the other way. It's so weird that we can just do that. And then just take your eyeballs for a ride, your own rhythm, just kind of looking around without moving your head. Just feel where your eyeball flexibility is, how far you can rotate your eyes, and the range of motion for your eyeballs. Just a few more rounds looking around, using each eyeball and feeling what it feels like to move from this place. Kind of freaky, but a really hidden aspect of our yoga practice. The gaze is really important. I often forget this part of my body in a movement way. It's more just like an aesthetic or visual needing to see thing. And then rub your hands together, get them nice and warm. And just put your hands over your closed eyes. Let your head just drop into your hands. You can round your spine now. And just let your eyeballs soak up the warmth from your hands. Let your eyeballs get soft in the eye sockets, letting go of any tension that was built up while just rotating our eyes around. Let them really open up and soften. The eyeballs in the hands. And you can start to move your hands away from your eyes now, taking care to gradually bring the light back in, kind of recalibrating the focus, perhaps fixating on one point. Just have your gaze at one point and focus your eyes, feeling the blurred edges of the periphery and the direct, clear focus a couple feet in front of you, maybe on the ground. Give your eyes a few more blinks. And now we'll start more of a body, physical, other limbs part of our practice. Let's stand up. So we're standing and we're going to bring a wide stance because we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So just find the ground first, find this wide stance. You don't have to bend over just yet. Figure out where your hips are in space. Kind of finding that same centeredness like we found with the shoulders and the spine. Just kind of rotating to one side, rotating to the other, forward and back. Maybe round a little bit, round in your hips until you find kind of where the whole range of motions of the hips are when you stand like this. And then bring it to center. Find a place where you feel balanced, not too far tucked, not too far sticking out, not too far to the left or the right. Just a middle place where the pelvis kind of hangs in the center. The knees aren't locked, they're nice and loose. And you can start to gradually fold over your feet. They don't have to be parallel. You can have your toes kind of pointed outward, or they can just kind of land where they do. Here, I'll show you. You can have them pointed out or parallel, wherever they naturally land, however wide apart you want to go. And just let the head dangle. The hands might touch the ground, but maybe you put your hands on blocks for support. You could even stack some blocks to put your head onto. If you have enough things to stack, you can let your head come down onto something. You could also let your arms just kind of grab opposite elbows, or your hands grab opposite elbows. And we'll just dangle here for a minute or so, just feeling the length and the back of the legs, the heaviness of the torso. Notice if the jaw is sticky or holding a lot of tension, and just let the jaw hang loose. Let the breath go. Feeling the support of the feet on the floor. Any support you have, leaning into that and letting the rest of the body be soft, relaxed. Letting out any sighs of relief. And then you can kind of walk your hands out in front of you to bring your knees down. We'll come into a little bit of a tabletop position. And once you're in your tabletop, just widen the legs a little bit once more. Widen the knees apart and sit down on your heels. And come into a child's pose. And now, in this child's pose, you have a choice of different side bends. So you could walk your right arm underneath your left and come into like a little thread the needle child's pose. Or you could walk both arms over to the left to get more of a side stretch on the right. So depending on if you're looking for more of like a shoulder compression kind of twist in your child's pose, or if you're looking for more of like an opening of the ribs and compression of the other side of the body. Just picking whichever feels like the right idea for your body today, the right placement. And I'll let you know when to switch sides. For right now, we're just arriving in whichever twist or side stretch we'd like to try today. Relaxing the jaw, softening the eyeballs, finding release and relief simply by going beneath the surface of the skin, entering your body from within and absorbing all of the sensation, sinking into feeling. Are you breathing? Are you holding your breath? Can you feel the ribs rising and falling with each inhalation and exhalation? And if you've got thread the needle, or if your arms are walked over to the left side, you can just kind of undo that thread or walk the arms back to center and just arrive here for a beat. Coming back to neutral within the child's pose, feeling and then when you're ready, you can take it to the other side, either threading that left arm underneath the right for a little twist, or walking both arms over to the right for a side bend. If you feel any part of you pulling away from the earth, maybe just realign, reshift, so that you can be in a place where you feel like you can just melt into the floor without resisting or holding. We don't want to be too uncomfortable. Just enough to feel the edge and submerge ourselves into the feeling. Compression, good stress. Plugging in, remembering cellular breathing, awareness at the level of the cells, each little molecule of you vibrating, dancing, receiving, and letting go. Walking back to center now, or unhooking your arms, unthreading the needle. Rise up for a moment, take a little bit of an arch in your back, keeping the wide knees. Look up to the ceiling, raise your chin a little bit. And then bring your neck back to neutral, bring your spine back to neutral. And then take your hands and put them through towards your feet, inside, in between your legs. So now it's like this child's pose where the arms are compressed and inside. We won't be here very long because we've already been in child's pose for a while, but we're just trying this new arm variation here. Notice how this is a bit different. You can start to slide your arms out from underneath you. Come back up to sit, and then just stretching out to a tabletop position, and taking it all the way down to a sphinx, countering that lumbar spine curve. Just channeling the energy into a new direction, maybe letting the feet kind of flex and point. Shake them out. Wiggle around a little bit. Undoing all the sticky stuff. Taking care. Feeling as much as you can as you go. And then just arriving in a sphinx that's a little bit more still, a little bit more stationary. You can look straight ahead, or you can let your head and neck drop. You could potentially lift your chin and look up. Wonder what that's like. Maybe the eyes look to the top of the head. We're getting a little bit more of our eye stretch here again. And when the neck is up, we're like tugging a little bit on the thymus gland, which is located at the sternum. And so this is really good for your metabolism, for digestion, for hormone regulation. good to activate consciously. If at any point your neck gets tired, you can always return back down. But you can always come back up again. Feel what that's like to use the neck in this spinal extension. If you want to lift the feet and bring the soles of the feet together, that's also welcome here. Finding the ease within the structure. Soft bones, soft muscles, but not a lazy stance. Effortless effort. And then just lowering everything back down. Take a big X with your arms and your legs. Use your hands to push yourself back to a tabletop. Take any movement your body is asking for here. Maybe a cat-cow, maybe a little side to side bend of the hips, lateral stretches of the spine, or maybe some stillness, maybe just a little bit of a rounding of the spine, a little seed. What does your body want here? Moving freely, moving intuitively, or moving into stillness. Where does the intuition live? How do we know? It's a subtle awareness of just following impulse, consciously following impulse. And we'll transition into a sleeping swan. We'll start on the right. So bring your right knee to your right wrist. Setting up here, finding your center. And you can have tented fingers and you can remain upright like this. Or you could lower, come to elbows. You could lower onto a bolster or some pillows or a blanket. And if after some time you realize you want to go a little deeper, you can start to crawl all the way down to the floor. And your arms can be straight out in front of you, or they can be bent a little bit to the sides. Sometimes I like to do that kind of position with my arms. Noticing any urge to escape or leave or wanting to not be here anymore in this sleeping swan. And trying to label this as thinking or feeling, and creating some space to lean in, to soften, the capacity to stay just a little bit longer. Finding where it feels spacious and comfortable and easy, and diving into that, opening that up, letting that sensation spread out. To exit this pose, we'll just come up one layer at a time, the same way we came in. So if you're all the way down, you can start to walk back up to your elbows. If you're on your elbows, you can start to walk back up to your hands. And before we leave the pose, just look back towards your foot. Oh, hello. And now we can come into a tabletop again. Maybe take a downward dog or any movement that feels applicable here. This is just a suggestion. If you're in your downward dog, just seeing if you can stay with this for a few more breaths. Holding space. Breathing. And then we'll just bring that left knee towards left wrist. And setting up for sleeping swan on the other side now. Tenting your fingers or placing them down. Remaining upright. Or potentially coming to elbows. Maybe even going all the way down. If you feel that you're rolling to one side or the other more drastically, you can take some pillows or blocks and stuff them underneath your legs or in between and under things, just to bring the floor to meet you. Bringing the floor up to meet us creates less of that pulling tension away from the ground because the body wants support. It's just tugging away because it doesn't know. It feels like it needs to tighten up. But if we have support, the body can lean in. The body can start to sink. The defenses are lowered. The body knows that it's safe and supported. It doesn't have to cling. It can release. So any amount of support in any pose is always welcome. Finding the release, finding the space. Just a couple more breaths here. And again, coming out layer by layer onto elbows, to hands. Remember to look back at your foot. Say hello. See what's behind there. And then if you'd like to visit a downward dog again, just pedaling out, shaking out the hips, maybe bending the knees a little bit deeper to get more of that arch in the top of the spine, the thoracic spine. And then pushing the heels back down, straightening the legs. Maybe a little bit of a swing. And then coming back down onto your knees. And we'll come to a sitting position. We're gonna do an upright twist now. Excuse me. And let's cross the right knee over the left. So the right knee's pointing up and the left knee's just kind of tucked under with your heel next to your right sits bones. But you can always lengthen that left leg out. It can always just be extended, or you could still have it bent, whichever feels good. And we're gonna hook our left elbow over our right knee. And then we'll just let that hand come down and use your right hand to kind of push your torso around to look behind you, and then find a space where it feels like you're making a little bit of an effort, but you're not crunching up, you're not tightening anything. It doesn't feel forced. But you're here, you have a foundation, you have a structure. It's like you're building a house. And you need the beams to be sturdy and stable, but not rigid and fixed. There's still breathability. There's no walls yet. This is just the structure of the house. You can still breathe, there's still space. But there's a shape, there's a definite shape. And if you want to get the eyes involved again, you could look all the way to the right. You can let your eyes just go to the right corners. And if they get fatigued and tired, you could just blink a bunch and let it go. But you could maybe practice some eye movement here. If that right knee kind of naturally goes down, it doesn't have to be all the way upright the whole time with the sole of the foot on the floor. If it naturally kind of lowers into more of like a shoelace, that's okay. And we're twisting out all of the stuff, all of the junk that's inside. We're making it more passable to go through us. Just clearing the way, taking things from solids and breaking them down to more fluid. Giving our guts a nice little massage here. Just a little bit longer here. See if you can stay with it, even though it's a bit clunky. untwisting, bringing your arms back around, just a tiny counter twist to the other side. And then let your legs come out long. Shake your hips from side to side. And in between sides, we're just going to take a little visit to a butterfly. So you can let your knees fall out to the sides, your soles of your feet come together. You can stay upright like this, or you can fold over onto some kind of support or directly onto your feet. I like to stack my fists on top of my feet to hold my head. As time passes and you feel like maybe you could go a little bit deeper or a little bit lower, you could always take away some props, maybe fold in a little bit deeper. You could always come back up and out and then refold again. Again, we're not forcing us to go to our limit. We're not pushing to get to the most extreme version that we can. We're just finding different layers, approaching them with curiosity, and discovering some possibilities in our own skin, in our own bones, in our own internal world. We're still taking that little trip, like we're in a little tiny, tiny, tiny zapped machine where they shrink us up and we go into our esophagus and down into the digestive system. And we're swirling around inside. We're just figuring out what's going on. Say hi to our bones. Say hi to the fluids. Exploring our own system. Seeing what's there. Coming back up. Bring the knees together and maybe roll back slightly, just kind of hovering on your hip bones. Give yourself a little wiggle around. Testing our balance here. It's okay if you fall over to one side or the other. Just feeling the little wiggle room. And now we'll cross our left leg over our right. And so again, you can have it kind of shoelace, or you can extend it out long. And then hooking that right elbow on that left knee. Bring your spine up nice and tall. And then just dropping that hand over to the left foot. Keeping your left hand as your base of support behind you. And twisting around. Letting the eyes be the last thing to go. Remembering that we can't twist as far as our eyes think we can. So let the eyes just be the last thing to complete the twist, and don't over push it. Don't overstress it. And letting that left knee kind of come down naturally if it does. Effortless effort. Keeping it simple. Present. Aware. Grounded. Structured but free. Finding the space inside the shape. Untwisting now. Taking a counter twist over to the right. Looking behind you. And then coming back, returning to a neutral spine. Letting your legs widen again. Give them a little shake. Ooh, any sounds to vibrate your body. The vibration moves the chi. The sound moves the chi. It's fun. And then we'll just visit our butterfly for a couple more minutes, maybe just even 1 minute. So we'll just come back and say hello once more. See if we can fold a little bit deeper. living beneath the surface of the skin, existing in your own body, feeling like you're working from the inside out. And now you can extend up and out of this pose. Take a big X while sitting down with your legs wide and your arms wide. Your face can go wide. And then get really, really tiny. Tucking everything in, make your face really small. And then let everything go. You can just kind of fall onto the floor. Big X on the back. And so we're moving into Shavasana now. I think a fish in Shavasana would be really, really nice here, but you're welcome to take any manifestation of Shavasana that piques your interest today. Could be just this big X on the ground, flat back. Whatever suits your fancy. But we can just drop the whole practice. Once you feel set up, once you feel like you've got a good situation for yourself, on your next exhalation, just let everything go. All the thoughts, all the practice, everything we've done in the last hour, anything you need to do in the upcoming hours, let it all go with a big sigh. Shavasana. Keeping your eyes closed, just noticing the light from behind your eyes, from behind your eyelids, what you can see when your eyes are closed, little patches of greenish yellow light, little twinkles, some floaters. Just noticing what you see behind your eyes. Blinking them open, taking in your surroundings without moving too much, just kind of looking around with a light, gentle gaze. Just looking without judgment, without identifying anything, just trying to look. And if you're in a fish, or if you're in a different position than flat back, just find your way off of your props. Come into an upright seated position, moving anything that needs to be moved on your way. Letting out any sounds whenever. And then just give yourself a big hug when you're sitting upright and thank yourself for dedicating time to be yourself, to explore yourself. And then letting that go. We'll do our loving kindness practice to close. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be at peace. You can join me in a bow to close. Thank you.